Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Plastic waste is really capturing the imagination of the people, and people are worried. Nations, leaders, scientists, and the plastic waste has to be ensured as a zero one. And with that end of the view, at the end of 2021, government of India launched a regulatory campaign against plastic waste, and they call it Zero Plastic Waste 2030. That's in the year 2030. 8 years from now, there will be zero plastic waste, which would impact such cost on the Canadian society that the government itself says, as its impact assessment report, that the cost of having a zero plastic waste would be much more than the projected benefits. Is the plan viable? Or is it just throwing wool in the eyes of the people, throwing dust rather? The plan is misconceived, is wasteful, and the only benefit of the plan is to project the leaders in a positive light as protectors of environment. The reality is the other way around. It's a wasteful plan playing ducks and drakes with the public money for vain glory of posing as champions of environment. And in reality, the results envisaged are zero. So zero plastic waste by 2030 would mean zero results of the whole plan. And the billions of dollars would be spent, which are paid by the taxpayer ultimately. The very regulation fails miserably, and it doesn't stand the test of the sound public policy. Each action of the government must be geared to the public good and should have a positive impact. Let's see whether it is successful, because the environment can be one factor, the cost as another, and the net results of the third. So let's have the environmental effect. The report, impact assessment report, based on which this plan has been formulated, very clearly states that it will produce little or no environmental benefit because, and the reason is very acceptable, that the Canadian plastic economy poses a very small environmental risk either locally or globally. So you are trying to kill an ant with an atom bomb, and the ant is not there. Are you aware that only 1% of the Canadian plastic waste is ever released into the environment? Just 1%. The other 99% is either reused, recycled, or disposed of safely from the environmental perspective. Some is incinerated, some is recycled, some put in landfills, which is an environmentally benign endpoint. But it hardly goes to the lakes and the rivers and the ocean. Now look at the contribution globally of Canadian plastic waste, especially aquatic plastic pollution, which was assessed in 2016, and Canadian contribution is 0.02% of the global total. Some people say no, it's not 0.202, it's 0.03. Okay, It ranges between 0.02 to 0.03%, not even half percent. It's a quarter of 1% rather. And observed market trends are to continue absence. The regulatory impact assessment estimates, and that's amazing, that plastic waste and the plastic pollution would increase by roughly one third by 2030. So if 0.02 increases even by one third, it will be less than 1%. Thus, if zero plastic waste 2030 is eliminated, all the product increase, it would prevent 0.02, 0.023% as a global total to undetectable portion of the plastic waste. What is that? An undetectable reduction of 3,000th of 1%. 3,000th of 1%, and how much money you are spending there. Even that small reduction in environmental system is likely to be set by increased environmental harm stemming from replacement from plastic products banned under the regulation. So there will be more harm by the new products. And the government acknowledges it. The beauty is that the regulatory order, and I quote, the proposed regulations are expected to increase the waste generated by substitutes by 298,054 tons in the first year, that is 2024. 298,000, that's almost 300,000 tons in the first year. And between 23 to 2032, are you aware that it will be 3.2 million tons? So what are you doing? You reduce on the one side 1/30,000th of 1% by 30 million, 3.2 million tons. Imagination staggers. The math seems to have eluded the political leaders. And the government observes them. I'm quoting from the government documents. The proposed regulations would prevent approximately 1.6 million tons of plastic from entering the waste stream over the analytical period and add 3.2 million tons in the waste stream. And you spend increasing, according to the government, from minuscule to 3.2 million tons, and you're spending money. I think the famous or the infamous Indian king, the brightest and the meanest and the stupidest king, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, who changed the capital, would be jumping with joy that his record is being bettered. The whole thing terrifies me. The potential of this kind of regulatory backfire faces another important test, and that is the health and the environmental related public policy, which is first, do no harm. And it's harming the health of the people. It's harming the economy. Now what's going to be the economic effect? We have seen the environmental effect is going to increase the pollution. And economic effect. Again, I'm quoting from the impact analysis, impact assessment survey. The monetary cost of the proposed single-use plastic regulation would cost $1.3 billion. The benefit would be $619 million. So if to save 619 million, you are spending 1.3 billion. The leaders must be mathematical and economic genius. I think we need to abolish all study of economy and let these cabinet ministers and MPs go and teach the new economics. So the cost would be 2.2, the ratio is 2:1. And who contracted this regulatory impact assessment was Deloitte. And the government, according to the report which Deloitte produced, over the course of the initiative, estimate benefits of the overall are estimated to be 10.5 billion, but would require a further investment of $8.3 billion. Even then, the report goes on to say the cost of the program is estimated to exceed benefits by $300 million per year. Every year, you are going to spend $300 more than what you are going to save. And these costs will be borne by whom? By you and me. And again, the government documents observe the increased volume of waste discussed above will represent additional costs for municipalities and provincial authorities as they are responsible for collection, transportation, and landfilling of plastic waste and would resume most of the associated costs, which would ultimately be passed on to taxpayer. Now comes the third aspect, alternative policy options. Was this the only way? No. The best thing would have been to leave it as it is, because 0.02% is no waste at all, and spending $1.3 billion and $300 million every year is a height of, well, I won't say stupidity, but height of misconceived concepts. What the government should have done? They should consider retargeting and reinforcing the ambitious plan to regulate the plastic waste, which are negligible otherwise. And they constitute only a vanishing small contribution, 0.02%. Instead, the Canadian policymakers should examine what they should do. The ways to crack down on endpoint improper disposal of plastic waste, such as littering in general. And that can be done by the municipalities. Let the municipalities invoke the laws as they are in Singapore, where you dare not throw even a piece of paper on the land. Here you can say, okay, anybody throwing plastic will find, say, $100 per $500, $1,000. To the extent that the federal government is involved in solid waste management, they might be able to look at incentives that could help improve street cleaning, this sort of co-funding of the cities, provinces, and the federal government can be there. And that would be at no cost to the taxpayer. And that would prevent littered plastic from lingering in Canadian environment. But as it is, 0.02% doesn't qualify. This is the most wasteful plan ever conceived. And where the impact assessment clearly shows that this is A, of no use, B, wastage of funds, C, the alternative is worse than the problem even if it exists. You be the judge. Ultimately, you are the people who are going to pay the piper. Are you willing to do it? That's up to you. How to do it? How to tell these leaders that this is not acceptable, that this is something which is derogatory to common sense and it's injurious to the economy, to the health, and the purse of the people. Would the authorities wake up and simply withdraw the plan from going further? Enough is enough. Sufficient damage has been done. Let it not be done anymore. Thank you. Hi.